meeting. So we'd like to give you 5 minutes to talk, Nathan, about your business and your involvement with the association, et cetera. And then we can turn it over to you can turn it over to Dennis. But after you get started, I'm going to have to jump. So you guys all have a great meeting. Hopefully, I'll be back in a little while.
Good luck, Todd. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Those I haven't already said hi to. Hey, nice to see you, Mason. My name's Nathan, and I'm one of the business development guys for Pure Dry Restoration. A lot of you already heard that our world headquarters is here in downtown Snohomish, and we're surrounded by a community that is dealing with some pretty tough flooding. And so I'm going to be heading out to bring some more equipment to our guys to help out where we can. But I wanted to honor my commitment and see you all. It's been, gosh, quite a few months since I've been able to hop on one of these. But I did want to do just that. I've had a lot of conversations with Todd behind the scenes. Pure Dry is a little newer into PHCC. Last year was our first full year, and we still haven't been as active as we need to be. We're building up our business development team. It's been me for almost 8 years building this company, which is a huge privilege, but I'm now realizing that I'm one person and I can only do so much. And so we want to be more actively involved with PHCC. I mean, gosh, not just all the fun things that everyone does, but the advocacy and the real life-changing things that PHCC is at the forefront of. I won't take a whole lot of time. I would love to say that we, are the best restoration company out there. I'm not going to say that. Let me just introduce. No, I'm kidding. I think every restoration company that's a part of PHCC is IICRC certified. They're doing things by the book. They're serving on the highest level. And if we're all doing it the right way, we should be drawing out structures the same way. What separates us, not just the fact that we serve from the Canadian border all the way down to Tacoma-ish, and then on both sides of I-5, of course, but it's our people. We have been blessed to have referral partnerships from the very beginning that have stuck with us since the very beginning. And I think it's because of the way our team treats their clients, and advocates for them when it comes to insurance. When it comes to going through the tough stuff, our team wears our hearts on our sleeves. We have core values that talk about service with urgency, but treating people like people and not job numbers and not insurance claims. We're human beings working with human beings. And so we have a lot of flexibility in what we're allowed to do, not just when it comes to bringing a home or a business back to pre-loss condition, but when it comes to the humanity side of it. Our technicians are tasked with paying attention. If there's an additional need that somebody finds out about, they bring it to me, and we do something about it. Now we have no shortage of needs with all the flooding, but recently we had a client who had a fire loss, and it was mom and dad and their little 3-year-old girl, who was a huge Puppy Dog Pals fan, as we all are, obviously, big Puppy Dog Pal fans. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter, and so I'm very well versed in Sky, who is her favorite Puppy Dog Pal. The fire didn't destroy the whole home, but as you know, the smoke does, and the firefighters' attempts to put them out does additional water damage. All of her best friends got damaged, her stuffies, including Sky, her favorite stuffed animal. So our technician noticed that, came to me, and they had to, of course, evacuate their house without taking a whole lot with them. So we had the privilege to go pick up a Fred Meyer gift card and a little Sky stuffy and present it to the little girl and say, hey, we think Sky just ran out the back door, and here she is for you. And she got her own gift card to go buy some new stuffies. So those are kind of the fun things that we get to do above and beyond the typical restoration stuff that helps us honor our core values about serving people on the highest level. So enough tooting our horn. It's just a privilege to be a part of an organization that has a similar heart when it comes to advocating for plumbers and HVAC contractors in the political sphere, and finding ways to help each other do our jobs better as service professionals, and then the relationships that I'm looking forward to forming down the road once I get my stuff together and become a bit more active. So thanks for listening to me babble. It's great to see you. I look forward to spending more time with each of you down the road. Of
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Nate.
course.
Yeah.
I will see you next time.
All right. Yeah. Take care out there. It's a horrible time to be flooding, right?
Yeah, Merry Christmas, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you.
Very cool. Thanks, Nate. All right, guys. It's us. What really quick, what are you guys hoping to get out of this? I thought it'd just be fun just to open it up. And do you have any particular questions or curiosities? So make sure that I address it while we're talking.
I'm 100% curious all the time. So always looking for fresh ideas, new tips, thinking of things differently, potentially from a different
Cool.
perspective. But I don't know where your microphone is, but I have to turn you all the way up to hear you. So just make sure that you got the right microphone going or something.
Is this better?
That is much better. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for saying something.
Yeah, it was the same for me, so that is a lot better. I figured most companies these days are all part of some sort of a best practices group or have been members of a best practices group, which goes over a lot of this stuff. So I always like kind of combining, everybody's method to their madness and just brainstorming a little bit and seeing, what comes out of it, what works best for some people, what doesn't, and just going from there.
Awesome. Juliana, how about you?
I'm just curious about not sounding scripted. Yeah, want to know
Perfect.
more about that.
Perfect. Great. I think we'll cover all that stuff. And I think when, especially techs, when they hear about being scripted, they kind of bristle. I asked Todd about that yesterday. What do you expect out of this? And as soon as I talked about scripts for techs, he bristled. Like, he's like, well, I'm not scripted. I'm like, so I totally get that. Right. And, anyway, so this will be fun.
I get it, but
So
I say I don't care.
Yes.
Because everything starts with a script, right? So that you have the facts, the data, everything, and then it becomes part of you. And then it's like a movie. I tell them, actors, do you think they just make up those words as they go along? No, there was a script.
I am so scripted. I tell the same stories over and over and over, the same exact way. So yeah, very cool. So a lot of what I have to share is actually just kind of a lot of what I've learned and how to portray it to the text, right? So they buy it. Like, half the thing is winning the battle with it, just with all the employees. But, okay. So present, let's get this going. Yeah, so this is a reason to script, just to start out. Like, how on earth do we have two really successful companies and 30 sponsoring this huge, just the biggest, at the time, it was the biggest cycling team in the Northwest.
Hey, Dennis, we don't see your presentation.
You don't?
See your inbox.
I know why. Thank you for saying something. I have it hooked up to the wrong screen. So you're going to see it.
The rest of us would have cut on eventually.
Now you see it, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right. So the reason I have this picture up is because this would have never happened if we weren't scripted. This is the biggest cycling team in the Northwest. We actually did some pro races. By the way, there's a little hint. There's 30 people that love their jersey and is taking pictures of themselves on social media every day, every time they ride their bike. So that's a little hint on branding. So overview, the word script or scripted makes everybody bristle for the most part, right? Like, we don't want that. We want to do our own thing. We want to be ourselves, right? But little do they know that's what allows us to be ourselves, actually. So a couple things we're going to get. Another word for script. Scripts are all around us. Who scripts are for, who scripts are not for, what scripts do for us, scripts necessary for a uniform experience, how to learn a script, and then some productive scripts, some juicy tidbits of stuff that we learned along the way. So this is my playbook. These are all my scripts for every scenario we would run into on a call that we have, and I train these. So a bit about us, you guys all know, but if someone's listening online or recorded, this is my partner, Kimberly. She just joined here a second ago. But yeah, we spent 25 years in the trades and built 2 beautiful, successful companies that ended up being a pleasure to run. It wasn't always pleasurable. There's probably 15 years of brutality to get there. But now we both really enjoy helping other people find success, hopefully sooner than we did. So much of my experience was on the sales side and really diving into how to get the sales and the customer service experience to be uniform and productive, right? To make all our dreams come true. So part of what I do with text, I'm kind of approaching this lunch and learn like I'm talking to text, because that's probably our biggest battle. Is this is everyone's favorite show, guys. You guys all know this show, right? This is The Office. And this is how a TV show starts. They're all sitting around with a little booklet and they're reading this awkwardly for the first time. And you guys can go to YouTube and watch them read a show. It's pretty interesting to watch that. And what's interesting is it's not just a couple people get good at it. The show is going to fall apart if 2 people are really good and the rest didn't really pay attention. So some people say, well, scripts aren't for me. And it's kind of like, well, it's actually the whole team's got to be on the same page. It's a team effort. So I talk a little bit about phone scripts. Answering the phone is that there's some particularities the way we answer the phone that are super important to set up the tech for success. The dispatch has scripts. They got to say the right thing to keep the tech happy and the customer happy, and to keep us feeling like we're on time. There's some ways to say things. Then the service techs have their scripts for the different calls. There's about 10 different calls we go on. There's a basic call. There's a service agreement call. There's a free inspection call, right? There's about 10 calls that we really got to know how to do those. I say that we live and die by the data. Without the data, we don't know what part of the call needs to be worked on. And so part of the scripting is it brings uniformity, it brings uniformity to, like, I know that the phones are going to be answered a certain way. I know the dispatch is going to handle, I know the techs are going to run a call a certain way. And so then when I look at my data, I can see, like, if this is 40%, here in my CSR, I got some work to do. This is where I need to work. It's not just that it's slow or we're not making enough money. It's like, oh, in my customer service department, there's something wrong there, right? Either sometimes we start saying the wrong thing, or maybe our dispatch fee is too high, or whatever it is. But anyway, having this data is super important because it shows you what to work on. If everybody's just winging it and doing their own thing, like, how do you know what to work on? And so that's super important. So objectives, another word for scripts. Scripts allow us to know what created the data, like where did the data come from, right? And that's part of that uniformity. And then scripts set us free to be ourselves. So it's actually the opposite. So Tyler Lockett is a superstar. Like Tyler Lockett is a unique person that we all know and wears jersey, but he runs his scripts. He runs his routes. Another word for scripts is a route. He runs his routes perfectly every single time. And where I learned this was Steve Largent. Back in the day, us older people remember Steve Largent was our hero. And Steve Largent was the best. He's a Hall of Famer, and he was the best in his era. And one thing that he was known for was, even though he's the best in the world, before now he's at practice before and he's at practice after, and he's running his routes. He's got his quarterback throwing the ball and he's running his routes. So how is it that the best guy in the world is running routes all by himself, longer than everybody else? Like, of all people that needs to, he probably doesn't need to, right? But it's actually the opposite. And Tyler Lockett's the same way. This dude, they call it running routes is an art. He is perfected doing the exact, when they say do this route, he runs it absolutely to perfection. So much so the quarterback can be blind, have everybody in his face, and still know where he can expect Tyler to be at an exact place in the field, no matter what happens. And so that's the power of scripts. So I liken scripts to routes because a lot of guys get football and understand the importance of running the route. So I talk about that. And so here's all the different routes that he would run. And so if he starts here, he's going to go 1 step forward and 4 steps left, right? And so that's kind of like our scripts in the book. Like if it's a basic service call, this is how we run it. But if it's a service call, this is how we run it. If it's a callback, this is how we run it, right? And so this is the idea of starting at different places. But if we're going on a callback, this is how this is what we're going to say, and this is our routine. And then everybody knows and can expect that. The quarterback knows what to expect. Like, well, this is what we always do. And so if anything comes up when the customer calls, everybody knows what the game plan is. They can say the right things to talk to the customer. It just brings predictability. Who scripts are not for? Scripts are not for this guy right here. When I was really diving into scripts, does anybody know who this is? This is Carlos. He now has his own little company down there. He's in the South End. This man taught me some stuff about scripts. So I was learning scripts. I was getting really into the scripts. I had script experience in previous sales jobs. And so I went on a ride along with Carlos. Carlos at one time was my only licensed plumber, and he was doing really well. But I went on a ride along with him, and it was a disposal call. And this is what he said. It's broke, no? Literally, we got in the house, greeted. The guy brings us in the kitchen, shows us the disposal, and Carlos says, it's broke, no? And the guy goes, yeah, it's broke. I hope you can fix it. And he goes, I fix, yes? And the guy goes, yeah, you fix. How much? And he goes, $50. And the guy kind of goes, $50? And he goes, and tequila. And we all laughed. And then he just kind of pulled out his iPad. No, it's this price here. And the guy says, oh, great. Let's go ahead and do it. And I'm sitting there going, holy cow. Like, he just blew all my theory away with his charisma. He's totally, he is a charisma. He's full of charisma. And so scripts, oftentimes you'll get a company that wants to get everybody dialed in just right. It's kind of like inventory. Our nature is we want to know where every single part is. Well, it's never going to happen, guys. Like, it's never happened. Like, we can get good at it, but you can just be percentages. Make sure your percentages are in line with parts, but we're never going to dial it in perfect. There's just too much and if you do, it's probably the focus is on the wrong thing. Scripts we like everybody to run scripts, but we all probably have had someone or have someone that they just go out and people love them and people buy from them. And we really don't know why. And so as long as they're not breaking the rules and as long as they're in line with the company values, man, let that person do what they do. In fact, maybe learn from them. So, and this isn't, and what happens is, we'll get into it. Like what I'm saying is, I don't sit this guy down and say, you have to learn my scripts. This is like, I teach it, but then there's a little bit of freedom. And then if there's some problems, then we'll refer back to the script. But I'm not trying to get every single guy to be completely dialed in. Scripts are for the people. It's to bring normal, average people up to a higher level. But you'll run into people that have just natural charisma and you don't even know why. And there's really we can't even, some people really some people that are really good at sales talk a lot, and some guys are really quiet. Some guys are kind of sloppy, and people just buy from them. We don't really know why. And so I set those people free. As long as they're have the same values and doing good work, I give them some freedom. So when I talk about scripts, I'm just so you know, I'm not saying everybody has to say the same thing every time. So there's comfort in a professional process. If everybody's just winging it, then even the customer feels insecure. But when there's a process, people fit into it and they feel comfortable. If you think about when you go to the doctor and the flu is going around and you go there, the doctor could say, oh yeah, everybody's got this. And he could already know what he's going to prescribe you because you're like the 13th person this morning that showed up, right? But that's not what he does. He still sits you down. He still asks you some questions. He takes some notes. He takes your heart rate. He takes your blood pressure. He takes your temperature. He has you do some breathing and you feel secure. He calms you down. It says, this is the procedure. If he didn't do that, we would freak out, right? If you went to the doctor and they says, oh yeah, everybody's got this, let me give you a prescription. That would be weird. And so we don't want to do a script because we want to be creative or something, but the customer is more comfortable when they understand that, oh, this is the process that they do. And it actually brings comfort and then a level of professionalism. And most customers will actually feel calmer because they know you're not winging it. So scripts, these are things that need to be said. So I'm not scripting every second of the call. My scripts are, we got to say this stuff has got to be said. You can go ahead and add your flair wherever, and customize talk about the roses or whatever is going to happen. But I need you to say this next. This is necessarily to set up the next thing. This needs to be said. So it's kind of like the code. Plumbing code is based on minimums, right? This is the minimum. It's got to be at least 1/4 inch per foot. And so that's my scripting this is the minimum. You can go be yourself all you want, but make sure this phrase comes out before you show the price. Does that make sense? On the other hand, selling is using as few words as possible. You don't want to talk too much. But so there's a balance here where you got to feel it out. And so when I teach scripting, it's like, this is what I need you to say. And then you can add your flair as you see fit, but this is what we say and how we say it. So that's kind of how I lay that out. So I have a plan for every call. There's about 10 basic types of calls, and you can learn those. Just if Tyler Lockett can do it, right, then we can do it. And it's just like the NFL. They know when they call out a play. And here's what's cool, guys. It's not just Tyler Lockett that runs his route. Every other receiver and every other person on the line ran their routes. So everybody ran their own route so that Tyler Lockett is free to catch the ball. Does that make sense? So we think Tyler Lockett's running his routes. Well, no, everybody runs his route on every call. So we start bringing this in and saying, hey, we're all running this routine. And if something's broke, then we can fix it. But now we know what to work on. So how to learn scripts. I took this picture this morning because this is really what happens. A lot of this is in the mirror. If you go to much sales training, you'll hear people talking about looking in the mirror and going over scripts all the time. I have this thing. It's called a mimic. I learned this from one of my trainings. They call it a mimic, and this is what that looks like. It's the fastest way, in my view, to learn a script. So you read it first. Like, you want to read it literally word for word because you don't want to miss a word, because if you say the word wrong, it kind of gets stuck in your brain, right? And it's hard to fix. So you want to read your script word for word. I read it silently, and then I do it out loud. And then we do a team, we do a repeat and repeat type thing. And what that means is I will read one phrase, and then Mason will read that phrase. Like, he has his book and he'll read it too. Then I read lines 1 and 2, and then he reads and says line 1 and 2. Then I say lines 1, 2, and 3, and he says 1, 2, and 3. Then I say 1, 2, 3, 4, and he does 1, 2, 3, 4. Then when we go through the whole thing, if Mason's trying to learn the script, then he puts his book down. Now, I still keep my book because I don't want to screw him up and say one word wrong, right? So then I read one line, and he repeats it without looking. He's got to repeat it. And then if he gets that line right, if he misses any piece of it, then we do it again. If he gets that line right, then we do line 1 and 2. We read line 1, and I read line 1 and 2, and then Mason says line 1 and 2 without looking at the book, right? And then we do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we get to 4 and he screws up a word, or he forgets something, or he says it backwards, we start over. And we do line 1, and then 1 and 2. And it sounds kind of crazy, but in 10 minutes, you'll learn a whole script. If you just sit down, focused, and doing that. And what's happening is you're reading it, you're seeing it, you're hearing it, you're saying it. So you're getting all your senses in all at the same time, over and over. So first you do it by the book, and then one guy puts the book down, and that's how you get a script in your brain really fast. It's called mimic. So that's how I learned scripts. So I'll tell you the first time a script saved my life. This is a real story. A time came when all of a sudden I had like a 46 or 30% conversion rate or something. This is years ago, but like I had 5 or 6 guys, and our conversion rate just dumped in like 2 or 3 days in a row. And so I had a meeting, and I go, what's going on? And they said, well, no one's buying anything. And so I said, well, so what do you say when they say no? And it was just kind of like, I don't know. What do you say? Like, I don't know what to say. I was like, okay, right? Like, what do you say? Well, I just discovered Tech Daddy. Do you guys all remember Tech Daddy? He was kind of a dorky guy. Tech Daddy he's kind of doing what I do a little bit. He's just a tech trainer guy. And he had these little video CDs that you could buy and on different subjects. And so he had a little safety tip and then a little sales training. And so Wednesday morning, it was just like a service meeting in a box kind of thing. You just put the CD in and play it. And he would do a little safety so it was legal, and then do a little sales training. And he was positive and kind of a funny guy. Anyway, I just kind of ran into him, and he had this thing about how to run a call when it doesn't go well. And so I'll just tell you briefly the story. So he goes on a call. The genesis of this script, this is a script we're going to learn. The genesis of it was what he would do is he would charge like $7,500. He'd come out to your shop, and he would just go out with your tech. He'd come out to Mason and says, hey, go with John. So Tech Daddy would go with John today, and he would do the selling. And his idea was, well, if John can see that Tech Daddy does it, then John will believe it can be done, and then he'll try to do it. And so Tech Daddy would go with a different tech every day, all week. And that's kind of how he spent his week. Well, because of flights and stuff, he got to a business late. And so he had to go shake hands really quick, and he jumped in a truck and took off. And he never even opened up the flat. This is back when we had flat rate books. And so he goes out and he runs the call, And when he gets to the price, he opens up to the price, and he was astonished. And so he was big into flat rate and charging the right price, but these people blew his mind. And so he quotes the price, and the lady's just like, gosh, that's a lot of money. And he said, yeah, it is. Like, he didn't know what else to say. He just like, yeah, it is. And then he was just kind of stunned, like he didn't know what to do. And then he said, this just came out. And so a lot of times just where scripts come out. He just said this. He said, I know it's a lot of money, and I'm sorry this has happened to you. On the bright side, when I'm done working on it, it'll work a lot better than it has in a long time. And as long as you keep it maintained, we can avoid a lot of expenses like this in the future. And then she went on and complained about money. She talked about the roof broke, the flood broke, her car died, all the stuff. And then she says, well, I guess it's got to be done. Like, do you take a credit card or a check, or what how does this work? And so really quickly, he told his assistant, write that down. And they ran out to their truck and he wrote that down. It just came out. I know it's a lot of money, and I'm sorry this has happened to you. On the bright side, when I'm done working on it, it'll work a lot better than it has in a long time. And as long as you keep it maintained, you can avoid a lot of expenses like this in the future. That's it. 5 lines. So what we did is we learned those 5 lines, and it changed everything. Because now my guys had something to say when the customer said no. Now we don't get that so much anymore because we're giving options. We're trying to give 5 options on every call, but what do you say when they say no? Well, you can just say, I know it's a lot of money, and I'm sorry this has happened to you. On the bright side, when I'm done working on it, it'll work a lot better than it has in a long time. And as long as you keep it maintained, you can avoid a lot of expenses like this in the future. And we owned it. And it became us, and we said it with care, with empathy, and our conversion rate changed. So he goes farther. We won't do it today, but the businessman, when they say, no, I'm telling you it's a lot of money, then he talks about, yes, it's expensive to run a house. And he goes into this whole more of a script. But anyway, just those 5 lines saved my butt back in the day. Because, like, what do you do when they say no? Like, I don't know. Well, we said this, and all of a sudden it changed things. And then what happened was, some of the people said, oh, that worked. And they said, well, I guess it's got to be done. And then other people said, no, I'm telling you, it's going to stop me from doing business. Well, then we learned this next bit of the script, which is just the businessman approach, which I think we all know. And then we learned this like the back of our hand. And then he goes on, and his thing was evolve or die. Like, he's like, evolve or die. That was his main motto. But that was my first experience with a script. So I thought I'd share some juicy scripts, and then hopefully we'll have some time for some questions a little bit. But I thought I'd share some juicy scripts just to give you some things that really worked for us that we thought were essential. I called Kimberly last night to check on some of this, but when quoting the dispatch fee, a lot of us struggle with that. Like, you say it's $49. And it's like, well, now what? And they say, well, that's ridiculous. And you get this argument. So this is how we handle the dispatch fee. Thanks for choosing Gene Johnson Plumbing. This is my daughter, Taylor. This is my oldest daughter. How can I help? They say what the problem is. And then we say, well, that's certainly something we can help you with. Have we been out to your home before? Oh, great. Were you a referral? So if they say yes, great, we're glad to come back. If they say no, oh, great. Were you a referral? All right, then we'll send a service specialist out to your home, and they'll take a look at your job, tell you exactly what needs to be done, and give you options for the work. It looks like the dispatch fee for your area is only going to be $49 plus tax, which applies towards the cost of any repairs. And in order to keep you from waiting for us in that time frame, We'll text you a picture and a profile of the tech coming to your home and also give you a call when we're heading your way about 20 or 30 minutes before we arrive. So the trick in this, or the key ingredient, is that there's absolutely no pause after quoting $49. We just roll, and you have to stop that, because that's kind of what we're like. Our dispatch fee's $49, and then we're wondering, is this going to stop? Are they going to be upset, or is that too much or too little, or what's? No, we just roll as part of it. It's like 2/3 through, and we have a bunch of value to add, right? It goes towards the cost of repair, to keep you from waiting. We're going to stay in touch with you. We're going to give you some options. We're going to call you 20 or 30 minutes out. So we give a ton of value, but the main point that Kimberly wanted me to stress in this, that there's no pause after the $49. And for us, this changed a whole bunch. Because when you say, by the way, our dispatch fee is $49, well, now you get to argue about it, right? What else is there to do except argue about it? What? Mason's only charged me $29 to come out. And he was like, start debating about the stupid dispatch fee. And it's like, we just roll right through it. And so part of scripting is the words to say, but also the way you say them and the tone of voice are really important. And so if we said this exact script, but we paused after $49, if we said $49 plus tax, if we paused, they would say $49? Right? They could interject. So it's not just knowing the script, but it's knowing how to present it. And in this point, it's rolling right through. There's no space after the $49. And then you provide some more value. So that, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. And a couple other key things about this is we love repeat business. So if we've been to your home before, we're hoping to hear a yes. It's great no matter if they say yes or no, it's great. And then we're your referral, and that's just implying that we get lots of referrals, right? We do good work, and people refer us so much, they do, that often it is. And if it is, we wanted to send a thank you. We wanted to let the person, I wanted to know who referred the call. Like we all do. We want to give a referral fee. We want to send a thank you. Different times in our business, we did different things. Sometimes we send a thank you card. Sometimes we put a coupon. If it was a business or a contractor, I might make a personal call and say thank you. At Zoom Drain, we sent 10% of the invoice to the contractor. So that's just a script there that for us was really powerful. This girl here, Taylor, said that perfectly every single time. And she was awesome. It was like, and everyone said she's great. Everyone's like, I know she's my daughter, but they really said that. And she was. But what was great about her is you could count on this being said perfectly every single time. And that's kind of what's creepy about AI, because you don't have to fight with someone to do the script. Like what's cool about AI is it just does what it's supposed to every time. But anyway, you have to tell it what to say. And so Taylor became, everybody really appreciated her because she just hit that script perfect. Juicy dispatch script. So I put this in here because we did this for a long time. This is my daughter, Kimberly. This is fun pulling out old pictures, dispatching. I believe this was the time when we were doing this, the 2:00 call. Guys, we literally said this. Hi, it's Angie with the 2:00 call. I'm just setting up the rest of the afternoon and wanted to know if you'll be finishing your day there, or do you want me to book another call for you? So there's a number of reasons we say it that way. We don't want there to be any pressure. Like it's really easy to let the customer, like you better say yes, right? Like I've got lots of calls. You better say yes. So this has got to be, I'm just setting up the rest of the afternoon. Are you going to be finishing there? Like, are you almost done? Or are you going to be, or do you want me to book another call for you? So we did that for a long time. I think in the end, we had enough people that we were able to cover all the time, but we did this for a long time, and that was kind of tricky. And I'll just share with you really quick, just not to leave you hanging about this, is that sounds crazy. What if you have a customer that absolutely has to be served? Well, we're going to reschedule what we can. When you go to reschedule, if they're a jerk and they're like, look, if you can't be here in 15 minutes, I'm going to call someone else. Well, they're probably not very loyal yet. And by the way, we're doing this at 2:00 because we're trying to empower them to make a decision. We're trying to kind of give their afternoon back. Like, hey, if you want us, but we're not going to make it, you can have your afternoon back. You got so from 2:00 on is back. Don't wait for us. We're going to come out another day. We're trying to empower the customer as soon as we can possibly know that we're not going to be able to make it. Also, a lot of people will reschedule. A lot of things are drippy faucets. It's been dripping for 6 months. Like they just happen to pick up the phone today for some reason. Or if someone really has to come out, if you've got 5 texts that say they'd like to go home and you've got one call that has to be taken, you just come back to the 5 and just say, hey, I rescheduled everything but one call. There's one call we got to get to. This is what the call is. This is where it is at. Would one of you guys take this and I'll remember you next time? And almost always someone's going to say, you know what, I can take that. That's near my house. I'll go ahead and take it. And so you got it. So you actually let everybody have the autonomy to choose their day. And the truth is they can't abuse this for long because everybody's got mortgages to pay. That's the other trick to this is people can't afford not to work. So if they need to take the day off, they will, but they won't abuse this for long. They might test you a couple times, but this won't get abused. And if it is abused, then you got the wrong tech. But this did not hurt us in doing it this way at all. A juicy tech script. So this is an example of us learning on the fly. Because we tracked our data, there was a time when this is Adam. This is one of my service techs. He's now managing Matt Laverne's company, Patriot Plumbing in Wenatchee. And he was one of our service managers as well. But when he was a tech, all of a sudden I can't remember if it was his average invoice or his conversion rate really popped significantly. And so I did one-on-ones with him. I'm like, dude, your numbers are fantastic. What's going on? And he says, I don't know what it is, but it might be this. Like he says, I've been saying this and it seems to work. Like customers love it. So this is what he would say. He says, Mrs. Johnson, before he present the call, before he presents pricing, Mrs. Johnson, do you have a minute? Let me show you what I've found. There's a few things going on here. I'm really by the book. I'm a licensed plumber. So I want to make sure you understand everything I'm concerned about here today. I always want to do everything 110%, but it's totally up to you and I'll give you some options. And he said, people buy. Every time he said that, everyone would buy. That sounds it's pretty cool, right? He's saying, hey, I'm by the book. Who doesn't want a plumber by the book? Plumbers, like we have a reputation of taking shortcuts and trying to get things done fast and callbacks and sloppy, right? And stuff. And he's like, I'm really by the book. I'm a licensed plumber. So I like that. I want to make sure you understand. They're confused. They do want to understand what's going on. This guy's going to take the time to share with me. Everything I'm concerned about today. Oh, there's more than just the disposal to look at, right? We're opening up the call to more than just the piece that's broke. I always want to do everything 110%. Isn't that who you want in your house? This does everything right on. And then he says, but it's totally up to you. And I'm going to give you some options. Now they're back in control. So I said, so we shared everything. What we did at our company was if anybody found something was working, we shared it with the crew. So I shared this and this went into my book. This is into my book. This became a living script. So this is a living document that this is what we train on and what we use. And as guys discover little things that work, we change it. So anyway, this is a juicy tech script. This is a segment of that we learned. And guess what? This took one meeting to learn, right? I go, guys, let's learn the script really quick. Okay. repeat after me, Mrs. Johnson, do you have a minute? And then they all say, Mrs. Johnson, do you have a minute? And I go, Mrs. Johnson, do you have a minute? Let me show you what I found. And then they say, Mrs. Johnson, do you have a minute? Let me show you what I found. And we all do it together. And then we get it all done and say, okay, you guys do it. And then they do it. And it's like, I think we got this. And we just added that piece of script into our sales, and everyone got to experience the benefit that Adam discovered. So again, that's one of the reasons why you have to manage. If you manage your data, it will show you what to look at, what to celebrate or what to fix, right? In this instance, it was, dude, what are you saying? Because you're killing it. And there was something. Almost always the guy's like, I don't know, I just do my thing. But we were working on this, and so he's like, I've been saying this thing and it works. So that was really fun. Something I just learned this last year, in the last 12 months. This is a new juicy learning tip. You can use your cell phone. So if this may be not new to you, it was new to me. I don't know how I missed this. Because forever I've been thinking I'm going to, I need to make a video of some affirmations for myself or something. All you do is hit video on your phone, and then you read your script word for word. And then when you hit play, you can go on a walk and hit play, and my phone just plays it over and over and over and over and over. And it's like, holy cow. And so the last time I went and talked to Lake Stevens High School, their kids, and there was some things I wanted to change about what I talked about. And so before I left, I typed up what I wanted to say as like a couple paragraphs, and then I just read it into my phone. I just read it. I read it and said it into my phone, made a video of myself saying it, just the exact words, like 2 paragraphs. I jumped in my car, I hit play, and I listened to myself say what I wanted to say, and then I said it. You know how we all sing songs, right? In the car, we always sing our songs. We know every word, right? By heart, we hit it, we nail it, right? We nail it perfect when we're by ourselves, right? Well, you can do that with your script. And you can just you can just hit record and put your phone and listen to it on the way to work one day. And you can totally change how you present something, and it can be memorized in your brain. And it's right here on our phones. So that's something I just learned. And so I kind of did it with some personal affirmations. I was working on a couple things I want to change about myself. And so I literally typed it up, put it in my phone, and on my walk, I just hit play. And I just say it with myself over and over and over. So for me, that was a big deal. Maybe you guys have already done that, but I somehow, it took me 54 years to figure that out. So coaching, does anybody know who this is? Kathy, you know who this is. This is Jim Rohn, the greatest guy. I really do love this man. He actually died on my birthday. But I actually memorized an entire 60-minute seminar that he put on called How to Have a Better Year. How to have a better year. And I memorized it word for word. And I could turn the volume down and talk away and turn the volume back up, and I'd be exactly where he was in his hour seminar. But this is what he says: we can all use a little coaching, because when you're playing the game, it's hard to think of everything. It's like all this, we hardly ever discover something new, but it's so easy to get into a rut. We forget one thing and we get into a rut, and all of a sudden our numbers go down. And so we all need a little coaching. And so this is how I coach. I leave them alone, except to acknowledge their performance in front of their peers and family when possible. I'm always saying how good my techs are. Like, dude, your conversion rate rocked this week. I'm always saying the positive. I'm saying it in front of other people. I'm saying we, just to be vulnerable, but we all crave recognition. Everybody does. And so I would always try to recognize performance whenever possible. Like, hey, you closed that job. Good job. I'm doing it in front of their peers. Now, because I'm measuring data, if a guy's got a tough conversion rate this week, then we look at that. So this is when that decision hallway, I think I did a lunch learn where I talked about the decision hallway. Like if they don't buy, what door do they get out? Did I screw up? Does our company suck? Did I not leave the right options? Is the timing off? Or did they not trust my diagnostic? Those are the 5 doors that they can get out of. So if a guy's got a bad conversion rate, if his conversion rate slipped, or if his average invoice slips, then I bring this out and say, okay, I wasn't there, you were. In all honesty, what do you think's happening here? Like, what door do you think they're going out of? And then whatever door they say, then we start looking at that door, and guess what? How we fix it? We go back to the script, like, because the script locks all the doors. If they follow my script exactly, all the doors will be locked, and it will make no sense other than to buy something from us. And we just want them to buy something. I literally don't care what it is, because I've been talking about this 80-20, like people will, I want every house to be an ATM machine. And when we go to the ATM machine, sometimes we get $20, sometimes we get $60, sometimes we max it out and try to get 300, right? I see every house as an ATM machine. I really don't care I just want them to buy from me every time I go out there. So I'm not trying to squeeze every dollar. I want them to buy. I'm going to present 5 options and see what they buy. And if they haven't bought something, what door did they slip out of? And whatever door they slipped out of is going to refer to me to this. And so now, Carlos, the guy that doesn't need a script, I'm going to say, hey, why don't we try doing this week? Let's try this script here, and what Adam said, for instance, right? Hey, I'm really by the book. I'm a licensed plumber. I like to do everything 110%, but it's totally up to you. I'll give you some options. Let's just say that before we present and see what happens. And then guess what? He doesn't want to suck. He's not happy that we're here. So now I'm not teaching him to say you have to learn the whole script. I'm saying, hey, let's learn these 5 lines, and will you promise me you'll go over these 5 lines before you present on every call, and let's see what happens. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And guess what? It almost always does. So the script is perfect in that it should lock all the doors. And so that's how we bring people, even the people that don't want to be scripted, that's how I bring them back to the script. And then they start to believe in it, right? Because when they struggled, I pull them back and use a piece of the script to fix the problem that they had. And then they're like, well, tell me more about that script. What do you get, right? And then they get more open to it. And so then they start being more open to scripting. And when they realize that you don't sound like a machine because you own it, then that works. So, dude, I got down with 5 minutes to spare. So this is just a fun picture. This crew, Brandon's in Florida. Brandon and Uriah are in Florida running their own company. This guy retired. This guy's got his own company, Odyssey Plumbing. Adam's running Patriot Plumbing in Wenatchee. I don't know what John is. This guy started his own business. This guy moved back east. This guy's in business with his brother. And this guy here is the plumbing service manager for Apex Seattle. Anyway, so this is a really fun time. We rocked and rolled, and we were really collaborating and working on the script, and everybody was dialed into managing the script and figuring it out. So
if you build that many leaders in the industry these days, that's pretty darn good. That's impressive.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that really is. That's awesome.
Yeah, when you look back, it's like, wow, what was that? 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There was 8. Those are 8 techs there. There were 1 apprentice and 8 techs at the moment right there. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I stay in touch with Uriah and Brandon. I see every week. They're in the company in Florida. So yeah. Any questions? Any thoughts? Mason, you do a lot of this stuff, right?
Yeah, we do. We've been members of the Blue Collar Success Group for a long time, and they have they're scripting things as well. But the reason why I like them is their program allows you to do basically the same thing you're doing, right? I mean, they give you the guidelines, but it gives you the flexibility to be your own person and
Yeah.
use your own personality and make it work for you.
Right.
We kind of look at the scripting as like the bumpers on a bowling alley, right? So
Right.
just stay between these lines, and it'll get you from point A to point B.
Right.
Um, is the scripts that you have still, are those super secret locked away, or is that something you can kind of share to give some ideas with?
I don't I'm glad to work with you. I'm glad to share them with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I'd love to check it out and just kind of
cool.
brainstorm a little more sometime.
Yeah. I love that. I will say one thing that I did is, so guys, young people don't lack capacity, they lack teachers. So I had apprentice meetings and I was teaching them my scripts. So I was teaching them code. I was also going through this book, Professionalism is for Everybody, which is like just the little ins and outs about how to be a good professional person at work. Everybody's complaining about young people don't have work ethic, right? So this kind of teaches that. So I do this and then I go over code and then they learn one script. And we had script challenges where, remember in band, who was in band? And do you remember challenge day where there was first chair, second chair, third chair? Do you know what I'm talking about? In band, I played trombone. So first chair is the best guy. Let's say there's 7 trombone players. Spencer was number 1. I'm number 2, and John's number 3, and so on. If I want to be number 1 on Friday, challenge day, I got to say, I challenge Spencer to the Star Spangled Banner. And then he's got to play Star Spangled Banner, and then I play Star Spangled Banner, and whoever does it better, he might keep his chair or I might get his chair. And that's going on every week. I remember one time John, over Christmas break, he was always third place, but he practiced all Christmas break and he came back and challenged me and he kicked my butt. And I was like, dang it, because I didn't play my trombone the whole Christmas break. And obviously he had played like mad and he kicked my butt. So I did that with scripts. I would say, we're going to learn this script. We're going to learn, and I broke it down into setting the agenda or prove you listened or the presentation of findings is what I just taught you guys. Just little pieces of the script. And so you could challenge the wrap up. Like I challenged so-and-so to the wrap up, and whoever did it best got a little Milwaukee tool. And so I was partly by having a strict script, like this is the script, is I was able to teach that to the apprentices. And then what I would do is I'd say, okay, you're going to go out in the field and you're not going to see this. I know the techs aren't running this perfect, but you get to watch them and see if that was like, should they have used the script, right? Like, what if they had used the script? And so now my apprentices were paying more attention to the call and seeing how the script would have worked better for them oftentimes. And it's helped them learn to be committed to the script. And so then when they went into a truck, it wasn't like, oh crap, I'm in a truck, what do I do? Well, they've been saying these scripts for a year, like the back of their hand. So then a year and a half, 2 years in, my apprentices are very well versed on what we say. And they've been watching the text use and not use the script and see what that looks like, right? And some guys just have personality and it seems like they sell everything, but some guys really struggle and it doesn't go well. So maybe the last thing I didn't put it in the slide I noticed is the way the script sets you free is if you go on a ride along with a new guy, he is so nervous about what to say that he can't even tell what's going on. Like he's so trying to say the right thing and get the right stuff in order that he can't pick up that the lady's not even listening because the baby's crying or the dog is waiting at the door to be let out. And the tech is so upset and so stressed out about running the call that he can't even say, hey, do you need to let the dog out really quick? Right? So I can have your full attention. So that's where the scripting, when you have your scripts by heart and nailed, that frees you to be a real person. Now the call is just going to flow naturally, and then you pick up the cues. I was on a call once with Adam when he was new, and he was doing his thing. And the husband was like trying to get us out of the house. Like he was done, get out, over, I'm going to do this myself. And he was just running his script. And I'm on right on going, hey, we should get out of here. Like, this is done. Like, and he didn't pick up on it. I'm like, oh, we didn't have that call 3 minutes in. As soon as you said the price, like it was done. Like, but he was so busy, and so he was younger, right? But he was so concerned about running his call that he couldn't pick up on all that. So that's the key of learning the script so well that now you can be a real person and interact with reality.
I think where scripting comes in to be super handy too is the importance of timing and your delivery on a lot of this stuff, like your price, for example, is more important than a lot of people think. And if you have a script to go off of, or at least those guidelines, right, it kind of keeps you on track to make sure you're not spitting that price out 3 minutes into the call before you're ready to deliver it.
Yeah, 100%.
Keep the customer.
And now we've advanced to, leaving several options, right? So we don't even have a price. That's not even in we don't even think that way. Like, I've got several prices. Right.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't in the call where you went over the decision hallway. Some point, can you brief me on that whenever you got time?
I can
check out the website, because Taryn, correct me if I'm wrong, but the lunch and learns are recorded and they should be on the PHCC website.
Yes.
Okay.
We're a tad bit behind, but I know that one is there. I'll put the link in the chat in just a second.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, do a whole breakdown on that. I'm glad to answer any questions afterwards.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks for
and it's just a way to,
Taryn.
Yeah, of course.
And the decision hallway is just a way to find out where do we think we lost the call. And it's kind of a diagnostic of the call. Like, where do we lose the call? What do we need to work on?
Yeah, I like that. A little kind of self reflection, to figure out, where you went wrong.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
I think that was the higher invoice averages. I think that's when you talked about it.
Okay.
I think that was March.
March?
Mm-hmm.
Because it covers, it was in average invoice and conversion rate. I use it all the time. So I cover it in both of those, because if one of those is wrong, we're going to go look at the decision hallway and figure out, okay, where, and it could be different with every tech. So you have to have a one-on-one with the tech and say, okay, well, dude, your shirt's not tucked in. Could it be that we were a little sloppier? Like, let's tighten that up. Let's tighten up our uniform look and see what happens this next week. And then we have a one-on-one next week. And then, well, no, you look sharp as a tack this week, and that didn't work. So maybe it's another door. So
cool. I'll check it out. It sounds really interesting.
Cool. Yeah, I've used it for years.
Sweet.
I don't remember where I learned it, but I've used it for years. Very cool.
Dennis.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. I know we'll get the January one up soon. I know Dennis has a great idea for it, so it'll be on the calendar in the coming weeks.
How to use hours, how to use plumbing hours to motivate and cultivate. We got to title this, to keep your employees.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good holiday.